the French Lightning Photo Workshop. This spectacular location in the south of France is where we stay and create stunning images. Chris Ord is master of his profession, who gets rid of jargon and makes lighting easy to understand. So learning is always fun. Come and join us.
Much like I said last night, thank you so much for coming along today, this week. It always means a lot to me when people want to come and listen, particularly when they're coming back for a second time and been to a workshop before. I'm going to talk quite slowly because I don't want to get excited. I never turn my flash on first. My flash is always the last part of the set I introduce. So for the first instance, what I'm going to do in a moment is bring Alice up in front of this doorway. Because what we have here is a beautiful soft light. I chose to start inside for a reason. We've got a beautiful soft light. My hand's my great indicator on where to shoot. You'll see me walking around on shoots like this, and what I'm looking for is how that light reflects on my hand. You can see the shape, you can see the colour changing. That's how I'm finding where I want to shoot. Now our hard light is at the back at the moment, our soft light is at the front, because just leaving it at that doorway for now and whatever feels comfortable. So my flashes at the minute aren't even set up, they're not turned on. I'm taking my trigger off camera. What I'm looking to do here, my first shot here, because I've got this beautiful soft light to the front, I want to use that. Why would I not want to use this soft light? But then I'm going to add some interest to the back. So all I've done is come away from that window, and it changes again the look of that shot. Now there's a little bit too much, I'm probably going to move her back, so I wouldn't want as much light on her face. But you see, just by rotating around 2 or 3 steps, it helps me isolate that scene. Now I'm a massive fan of getting as many different shots from one location as I possibly can. So once I'm happy, same sort of shot again. Just come around the front a tiny bit from it, guys. I'm going to have you glancing just through that doorway. Yeah. That's it. And can I bring your left hand closer? That's perfect. So same again. We get a beautiful soft light coming through, and then that hair light just starts to creep in along there and add a bit more interest. So if I want to lift in touch, I'm going to put my shutter speed to something like 2000. Background of that hair light and shoulder light, where it gives us that natural separation like we created inside with that flash with Alice in the doorway. As soon as that light pops out, it's going to obviously amplify a little bit. Look, I'm fine with that, because we're still going to get a beautiful exposure as we go through, okay? So now's the point I'm going to bring in my strobe, okay? So see how harsh that light goes now, so we get that harshness coming through. And that's more the sort of effect we want to get, is that light. Just to create that halo, we don't want to blow it out, particularly having some of the light here. So I'm shooting at 2000 if we're at 2. Now the flash is a bit now where I want to say, right, I want to really get a really beautiful exposure on the front, okay? So we're going to come in quite close. So if I can, Donald, I'm going to bring you about here and about there, okay? So again, I'm looking to get high, and I'm shooting from this angle. I didn't mention this earlier. I'm shooting down at a 45 degree, I did mention it, didn't I, to get definition, to create shadows into the jawline, okay? So, sorry, Donald, that's showing from behind. All we've done is light Amy's face up. We've got that little bit of shadow under the jawline, and it starts to create a little bit more definition from there, okay? So, because we've got our back to the sun, the light on the front of Amy's face isn't going to change. It's much like we were inside. Because we're in a little bit of a shaded area, that light's going to stay exactly the same. So once we're set there, and once we stay static with our flash distance to subject, nothing needs to change from there, okay? So it becomes really easy.
Spectacular can only get better when we spend the whole day at the Chateau de Bellefleur, a 12th century chateau that has been lovingly restored. There is no way that you can run out of photo ideas. Your creative juices will be overflowing.
c'est super.
I got super.
Ah oui.
I will be your moon. You will be my sky. And I promise I will follow you until the end of the line. And I will be your flower if you will be the bee. And I promise I will always give you the sweetest parts of me. 'Cause you're the tip to my top, the key to my lock, you're my breakfast in the morning. You're my up to my down and the king of my crown. And you're everything I want, you got that sweet, sweet, sweet honey. Sugar, and I want it sweet, sweet, sweet honey. You got that sweet, sweet, sweet honey. Sugar, and I want it sweet, sweet, sweet honey. So give it to me.
So last lesson of the whole day, or the workshop, or the trip, is going to start the way it started. We're going to balance with ambient light. Now that's obviously a really harsh backlight, but it actually works quite well that there's a blanket of sort of haze over it because it gives us a slightly softer light. So it essentially becomes a big softbox in the rear. So what I've got in mind, obviously we don't want to put the girls too far into the grass because we don't want to...
I promise I will follow you, as long as you keep lighting my way. And I will be a smoke, if you my cigarette. And I will be a sunshine if you'll be my silhouette. 'Cause I have waited for this day for so long. Can't wait to get you all alone. 'Cause you're the tip to my top, the key to my lock, you're my breakfast in the morning. You're my up to my down and the king of my crown. And you're everything I want, you got that sweet, sweet, sweet honey. And I want it sweet, sweet, sweet honey. You got that sweet, sweet, sweet honey. And I want it sweet, sweet, sweet honey. So give it to me. My breakfast in the morning, you're my up to my down and the king of my crown. And you're everything I want, you got that sweet, sweet